All right, Jim. So we're going through doing these best games of certain systems. And we're completely done with the Atari. Did 4 games.
Yep.
First question, what did you think of them? Second question, was there any games left off that you think should have been on those lists? Now, granted, keep in mind, the way we did those lists, we did an aggregate of at least 5 to 10 sites who ranked like the top however many Atari games.
Yeah, from like 10 to 100.
Yeah.
Like that.
So we looked very deeply, and some of them were all over the place. The only one I think was so consistently at the very top actually was Adventure and Pitfall.
Yeah.
River Raid was like, some of them was it was never 1, but it was always high. And then Missile Command was another one where it was always like, it was like 4 or 5, but sometimes it was 10, sometimes it was 1. There was a lot of titles in there that easily, like, they were number 1. Like Berserk was number 1 for a few people.
Yeah.
But I don't know what'd you think of the 4 games we did?
I think I have no complaints about the 4 games that we did. Like, they're all fantastic Atari games. And really like you said, there's a shitload of games you could have put up there too. You could have had Centipede or Millipede. You could have had Berserk, like you said. You could have had Pitfall 2 up there. God, there's so many games, I'm just like blanking on all of them.
For me, I think the surprising thing, and I said it multiple times during our reviews, when I think Atari, I think of shooter, space shooter.
All right, so like
I almost felt like a Defender, Asteroids, like something even more simpler should have been on there. And
even Space Invaders for like Impact.
Yeah, my arguably favorite shooter, Centipede, it not being on there. I get it, but it's like that's what I think of when I think of Atari. So
yeah, I was kind of surprised, and I can see why that a lot of the later games weren't on there, because the 2600 was supported until 91.
Yeah.
So by the time they knew all the tricks, so the games are really, really impressive looking and playing, and there's a lot of game mechanics to them. So games like Fatal Run or what are they called? Secret Quest or Radar Lock, games like that.
Another game that I loved, another surprising shooter, sorry to interrupt, but Yar's Revenge.
Oh yeah, Yar. Yar could have easily been on there.
I mean,
that's the best-selling first-party Atari game.
It's very interesting. I feel like we got a good mixture of, let's see, we got the adventure genre, we technically got a shooter with Missile Command, and
Missile Command's almost its own thing, though.
I don't.
Because like River Raid's the shmup.
Yeah.
Adventure's the adventure game. Pitfall's the platformer.
Yep.
And then Missile Command's just Missile Command.
It's like a strategic shooter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was happy to see we didn't get all shooters or all, one genre or the other. I don't know, but I think for Atari games, it was a good combination. And since we're limiting it to 4, since we're trying to stick to basically 1 review a week, it's tougher, because had we went to 5 or 6, maybe we would have had another shooter that we're talking about now.
Yeah. I'd say probably Millipede would have definitely been in there.
But trying to take your bias and love of River Raid out of it.
Right.
What was your favorite of the 4? And if it is River Raid, that's fine.
No, I mean, River Raid is my favorite of the 4, but if you take River Raid out, then it's Missile Command.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's Missile Command or probably Pitfall.
Yeah, Pitfall's great too. And I mean, adventure is really important, but
it's not fun. It's not as fun. Here's the deal.
It's fun in short bursts.
Yeah, adventure is kind of cool because unlike some Atari games where if you don't have any, like one of my favorite, going back to being a freaking horror fan, Haunted House.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea what you're supposed to do with some of those pieces as you're going through the game until I looked it up and I was like, oh, this goes here, that goes there. I love that game, but without a manual and playing it any way other than on the Atari, and even if you're playing on Atari, you might have just picked it up from a swap meet or something and had it in a box of a million games and not had the manual. So those games that require manuals where you can't go through otherwise, I hate those. Adventure, you could kind of figure it out. You're like, oh, this key goes to that castle. It's the same color. The little bridge piece, okay, you can figure it out. But at the end of the day, it was meh. Pitfall is so straightforward.
Yeah.
It's like easy to play, harder to master. Whereas River Raid, it's super easy to play, hard to get far enough, but there's no true ending, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And then, of course, Missile Command, that one is very hard to master. That you talk about like trying to get some of those later stages, but the Atari to me was never about any game being a super deep experience. It was always about that quick pick up and play. If you got 20 minutes, your girl or your wife is trying to get ready and you need something to do and waste some time, you could play on your phone, or if you had an Atari or something, play real quick.
Yeah.
Adventure is not going to be one of those games you ever do that with. You don't quickly pick up and try and play that.
Yeah, like Adventure is important, but it's just, it really isn't as fun. Like, I'm surprised I didn't see a game like, say, Hero more on a lot of the list, or Keystone Capers, or Crystal Castles, or Kaboom.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
Or Warlords, or Breakout, or Super Breakout, or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well...
And I love
I was going to say
Breakout.
Mrs. Pac-Man, but the thing is...
Miss Pac-Man wasn't bad. The original Pac-Man was...
That was the best one. The original Pac-Man, that's why I didn't even mention it. It was fun to finally get that game on the arcade, or an arcade port of the game, but yeah, that one was so poor.
I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but, I mean, yeah, it's crap. It had 3 weeks to be programmed or some shit.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We want to hear from you guys.